Welcome back, animators! In this lesson, I'll show you how I finalized my animations for different platforms. Now, all in all, this is a very simple lesson, but to not make a big mess, I've decided to split this lesson up in a couple of parts, namely loops, sounds, and renders. So, let's start off by looking at loops. In this chapter, we'll take a look at two different kinds of loops, namely plot loops and scene loops. Okay, so what is a plot loop? Well, first of all, it's a term I just made up by myself, but I'm sure if you search for it online, it will give you all kinds of results.
Hey Motion Magnus, I just searched for it and I'm guessing this is a math class?
No. What I mean by a plot loop is simply that we loop the plot, or story if you will, back to its starting point.
So why not just name it story loop?
Because I searched for it online, and that is something a bit different than what we are gonna do here.
Okay, whatever you say, smartass.
Alright, so there are two key things we need to consider when doing a plot loop, and those are...
Hold on, so the lesson is split up in 3 parts, whereas this part is split up in 2 different loops, whereas this loop is divided in 2 key things. Now, for not being a math class, you sure like to divide.
Anywho, the 2 things we need to consider when doing a plot loop are the story and the visuals. So let's open up the scene we did in our previous lesson and I'll show you exactly what I mean. Now, we are lucky because our visuals are already looping. Yep, the character and environment line up at the start and end. 2 seconds.
I get it.
Yes, this is what I mean by the visuals looping. As for the story loop, well, here we face a bit of a problem cause the main character is starting to look at other courses at the end of the video, which means we need to somehow bring him back to doing the animation course once again. Now, most of the times when you plan plot loops, you start off thinking about ways to loop the story right from the get-go, but in some rare cases, you might end up in a situation much like ours, where you need to retrofit it in at the end. Alright, let's have a think. Nah, I'm blank. Let's have a look in the dictionary. Podal, pooling, pop. I got it. Let's add a pop-up that asks our character if he wishes to resume the course. Ease out here and ease in there. I might as well do this course in my sleep. The only way to do this is frame by frame. Let's see if there's any good courses on photography. Ease out here and ease in there. I might as well do this course in my sleep. The only way to do this is frame by frame. Let's see if there's any good courses on photography. P.S. Don't forget to add a little end label here where the scene loops, as this will come in handy later on when we render. Scene loops are much more straightforward than plot loops. In fact, we had a scene loop inside the plot loop. Yep, because a scene loop just means that the scene and everything that is in it loops back to its starting point.
How can there be a starting point if it's a loop? There be a starting point if it's a loop. It's a loop. It's a loop.
Now, what I like to do is to measure the environment animation in half and full sequences. For instance, look at this sequence of walk cycles. Here I have decided to animate this tank in the background on 6 walk cycle sequences. You can animate it on 3-4 sequences if you wanted to move faster, like say a foreground object, or 8 to 10 sequences if you wanted to move slower, like a distant background object. Anywho, the reason we animate on sequences is because then we can simply duplicate the object, offset them like so, drag them all backwards like this, and boom. Working with sound is one of those things that is easy to do but takes years to fully master. However, we don't have any years to spare, so let me just quickly show you how I added sound to this scene here. First, we'll add the voiceover. Well, actually, the voiceover is already here as we lip-synced our character to it. Ease out here and ease in there. I might as well do this course in my sleep. Let's see if there's any good courses on photography. As for the computer voice, it's just a voiceover track from one of my lessons with a high-pass filter set to 1500 in the cut-off frequency. Position and rotation throughout the whole jump. Now we just need to fix the front of the hoodie, and the only way to do this is frame by frame. Now, when you're done with this course, you'll be a frame by frame. The volume is also animated, so it's lower when the character talks. Yes, the voiceover is our main sound, so it's important that nothing else drowns it out. As for this little track here, when the character gets shocked and starts thinking, well, this one is a bit too complicated to explain in this course, but in short, it's comprised of a bunch of duplicates of the same track we used for the computer voice, which I've then edited in Adobe Premiere. Yes, I like to edit more complicated sounds in Premiere. As for sound effects, I've used Studio Reverb for the echoing effect and Pitch Shifter for that dark voice. And the only way to do this is frame by frame. And the only way to do this is frame by frame. Now, as I mentioned in the text just a second ago, if you want more in-depth knowledge of sound design, then definitely do a Motion Design School's free course on the fundamentals of sound design. Now, seeing that the computer is to our left and the character to our right, we can add a stereo mixer effect, set the left level to 120% on the computer sound and the right level to 120% on the voiceover. Ease out here and ease in there. I might as well do this course in my sleep. The only way to do this is frame by frame. Let's see if there's any good courses on photography. Boom. Now these sounds come off more naturally to the viewer. As for regular sound effects, investigate your scene and locate anything that you might think will create a sound. In our current scene, I've found the following: mouse clicks, keyboard buttons, pop-up notification, clothing movement, and share movement. Now, I've recorded all these sounds myself as I got a really decent mic, but no worries if you don't have a system set up at home, cause we'll link to a bunch of free sound resources down below. Ease out here and ease in there. I might as well do this course in my sleep. The only way to do this is frame by frame. Let's see if there's any good courses on photography. Now, here's the secret to good sound design. Never have any quiet spots.
You got one new message.
How do we do that?
Well, by simply adding a slight ambient noise in the background, we will glue the whole sound design together into a full sound picture. Ease out here and ease in there. I might as well do this course in my sleep. The only way to do this is frame by frame. Let's see if there's any good courses on photography. This is easy peasy. Just create the following compositions. Now, simply add each comp to the render queue like this. Make sure the sound is set to on. Hit render and boom. Now we just need to fire up Adobe Media Encoder, drag all the movies into here. Make sure they are set to H.264.
Something extra, something special. I do so much for you guys.
Some platforms have both size and length restrictions. Yep, if your video happens to be a bit too big, then try adjusting the bitrate here and hopefully that should do the trick. Hit this little play button here and voila!